Welcome to Healing the Spirit, a space where we awaken our creativity, deepen our connections, and remember who we are through the lens of astrology, archetypes, and art making. I'm your host, Jonathan Coe. Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of Healing the Spirit. I am super excited to be sharing this conversation that I facilitated with my collaborator, Britten. And in this conversation, our guest is Nicole Providence France-Coe. So Nicole is a deeply magical being, and this episode is just dripping with so much wisdom. I took some notes during this episode while we were recording, and I kid you not, I had a whole page of just insights and wisdom, and it was really powerful. And we're also excited to announce that Nicole will be joining me, Britten, and Jacqueline, who was on episode 23 of Healing the Spirit, as part of our communal support team for the course that we're going to be starting on September 10th called Astrology as Praxis. So in case you haven't heard about Astrology as Praxis, it is a year-long astrology learning container that is really geared towards not just learning the system and the foundations of astrology, but also in individually and communally figuring out how we can deeply use astrology and integrate it into our own lives. So if you are resonating with my voice, with Britten's, and also with Nicole's and Jacqueline's, I highly would recommend you to check out this course page. So let me introduce you to Nicole by way of her bio. Nicole is a devotee to great mystery and all its beauty, pleasure, liminality, and dismantling power. She is more at home in the unknown than the binary and the static. Being born onto Earth as a mixed race, gender non-conforming, neurodivergent human has provided the blood and bone blueprint for learning how to dance in the cracks. Nicole relates deeply to the archetypal energy of the Trickster as well as the High Priestess, and delights in wedding these two energies in her body and through her oracular offerings. This fall, with her partner Dickie, they will be launching their business website, The Lion and the Lute. The space will hold their offerings in service to ancestral healing, oracular arts, handmade goods, and flower essences. So in this conversation, Nicole and I spoke about what it means to be devoted to the great mystery and the liminal, what it's like to learn the lessons from moving away from solid identities into more fluid ones, what it means when Nicole says that she is a Trickster Priestess. And we also spoke about Nicole's experience learning astrology, because Nicole was one of the participants of Charting Your Course in 2021. And honestly, Britten and I were so honored to have Nicole, because every single time Nicole shared in class, it was like, a revelation. And it was such a delight to have Nicole with us throughout that experience. And so, we talked about all of that. We also spoke about motherhood a little bit. We spoke about what it means to be a hermit as well as a mother. And finally, we spoke about what our hopes and dreams are for the participants of Astrology as Praxis that we will be nurturing together. Okay, so I will see you on the other side. And in the meantime, this is my conversation with Nicole, co-facilitated with Britten.
Welcome, Nicole. I was remembering when we all first got connected, and I feel like it was through Charting Your Course last year, yes?
Yes, it is and was, yep.
how did you find your way into that space?
Basically, I love knowledge and I love systems of learning. And one day, I think I had drank some cacao, felt that flowing through me, and just got hit with this desire to learn astrology. So I went to the mycelial web of Instagram and used one of those stickers that said, like, you can ask a question. And I said, who are the astrology teachers right now? And I received a couple, and one I received from Rachel from Serpent and Bow, and I just respect her and appreciate her view on the world. So I was like, I'm gonna look into Britten because she recommended you. So I found Charting Your Course, and at that time, my grandpa had given me and my sisters a substantial amount of money. So I was able to read and to join, and I found myself in that container, and no exaggeration, I'm not the same since that container and since being in a space that you and Jonathan hold.
Wow.
Thank you to Rachel, and thank you to your grandfather.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not the same since meeting you.
Thank you.
I feel like pretty quickly you began to share yourself with the group and brought this like unashamed, grounded mysticism and wisdom that I think I can say touched all of us and opened up something in each one of us. So thank you so much for all you brought to that space and really sharing yourself.
And I receive that wholeheartedly, and that's very nourishing. And one of the intentions that I set in that space was to just come as I was, and that's not typical for me. Learning environments have been very stressful for me, actually, where I feel like I have to be a certain way or perform a certain way, or I feel like the hierarchy of teacher and student, and that just wasn't present in the space. And so it really allowed me to slowly dip my toe and be like, this feels very safe to me, and I can just let myself be messy. I can let myself truly just speak from what feels true and alive in the moment. And I think from sharing early in the beginning, it sort of set a precedent that it was okay for me to take up space and to share from the depths of my experience, and to have that reflected back by people just saying thank you or we love you or appreciate you was a very new experience for me to not be masking and to not be pretending, but to truly speak from my womb, heart, mind, body, and to have it received just cellularly changed me. So thank you for that reflection. And it just feels so good to be that deep underworld mystical person and speak from that place and have it received. It was amazing and still is.
Yeah. I love that, Nicole. I'm curious to hear, what was that experience like for you? Learning astrology, already having your own mystical practices, coming into learning astrology maybe more from that perspective first and foremost.
I think why I was drawn to astrology at that moment is I had done a lot of inner work, and I had been realizing, being Libra moon, Libra rising, that there is just a lot inside of me that often catered to the environments I was in. And I was beginning to realize how much had been projected on me in my life that I had identified that became my personality. And I wanted to come to astrology, not to learn it to be in service to others, which is often my go-to. How can I be in service? But it was, I want to know who I am. And I trust the stars, I trust the planets, and I want to hear what they have to say to me about who I am. So to have that shift for 8 months really learning the planets, developing deep relationships with them, and beginning to see these threads coming through and learn about who I am, and to realize there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong, that I am drawn to the deep, to the dark, to the underworld, which actually has so much light in it, that there is a sense of just depth to me, and that is not only okay, but that is like my star body in my physical form. So it was a very, very deep healing to not be learning the system to make money or to read for other people. Maybe that will come later in life, I don't know. But for me, it was to learn about myself. So to be in that container, learning about myself, deepening with the planets who felt deeply familiar, just was powerful and healing, and has really allowed me to embrace the depth as well as my trickster, playful nature, and seeing that that's who I am.
Yes, I'm wondering if you had any first connections or powerful encounters with particular planetary energies and teachers that you would feel comfortable sharing that helped you trust to go deeper with them.
Surprisingly enough, it was Saturn, and I have felt dogged by Saturn's energy for a very long time, and we literally just moved. We've lived in Grand Rapids, Michigan for the past 20 years, and I really attribute those 20 years to being, ever since my Saturn return about 8-9 years ago, is when these very deep, hard lessons, patterns kept emerging that I just kept living over and over and over again in different iterations, learning differently through each relationship or friendship. But it took me so long to learn the lessons. And I would say that I realized once I got in that container that this was Saturn, that Saturn was here really trying to teach me self-worth, really trying to teach me that I belong, that it is safe to show up as myself. And I have Saturn in Scorpio in the second house. And so for me, it had less to do with money and more to do about my internal value, and just the intensity of these past 10 to 8 years, putting a frequency, putting an archetypal energy to that, seeing that was Saturn, and being able to surrender and say, okay, I want to learn these lessons. I want to truly embody my self-worth. And Saturn really used that container of charting your course for me to begin to build a new blueprint, begin to build a new way of connection with people, and to really build up this sense of self-worth. And I can truly say that since we moved, literally it's been 10 days, I feel like I have jumped through a portal. I feel like Saturn is like, you did it. Like, I learned those lessons, and I feel utterly, entirely different. I feel like I can't even connect to those densities that were just so present and prevalent in my system. And now I feel like Saturn has actually washed me upon the shores of Neptune right now. And I met Neptune in charting your course, but Neptune, I didn't realize how Neptunian I am until I'm in a space where I can now dream and not be in the Neptune sort of piecing out energy that I was in conjunction with Saturn. So those would be two energies, two archetypal, two planets that really I didn't know, but I did.
You know, Nicole, I've been contemplating on Saturn's exaltation in Libra a lot. So Saturn is exalted in Libra, and I've been reflecting, thinking about what that means. And I feel like something you said there really helped me see another side of it, which is that, there's this beauty in creating structure and creating discipline, in knowing one's own worth, and acting in accordance to that. And it sounds like it's funny because those are the two archetypes you brought together in this conversation. Like, you spoke about being a Libra rising, and then Saturn came through, and it's like thinking about having your Libra moon there and Saturn kind of helping it calcify, in like a beautiful way. I keep thinking about crystals and gems, actually, with regards to Saturn in Libra. It's like calcification can be so utterly beautiful,
Yes. And even yesterday, I'm taking poisonous plant medicine too with Catherine Solie, and we did a journey with holly. And as I was meeting this plant spirit of holly, who is a poisonous plant, who I'm very drawn to poisonous plants and their medicine. But as holly came to me, they came to my heart, and that's the place that I've had the most pain. It's where I can feel. It's very Three of Swords for me, and I've been like the second and third sword often, internalizing false things and being the harsh one on myself. So that's what Saturn's been teaching me, like, stop piercing yourself. But holly came to my heart, and literally in my heart there was like, it was a cave, and there was first this flash of maggots, and that's what I feel was in Grand Rapids. And then as holly removed these sort of like death cloths from around my body and from around my heart, it literally turned into a crystal cave. So just putting that out there, that's something being woven, that I appreciate that reflection because it helps bring that medicine in a bit deeper.
Yeah. Thank you. I have a question that I'm really curious to ask you. Who do you think, sense, or know yourself to be in this present moment?
I love that, and so many things come through. I think the two words that come through, or three words, would be portal jumper, shapeshifter, and mother. And I think specifically mother feels very potent right now. Like I said, we moved and I have 4 kids. And so we're all going through this huge transition. And I've been having to regulate my nervous system as much as possible so as to be present to them going through this transition as well. And so this mothering energy feels almost as ripe as it did when I first had each child. There's this deeper tending to them. They're unrooted, and I'm needing to create a space where they can feel safe, express their feelings and emotions, and hold that for them. And so that intertwined and mixed with this portal jumper sort of shapeshifter energy of literally, I feel when we were leaving and driving the U-Haul, I saw what looked like a portal, a cervix, a womb that we drove through, and it closed and there's no returning. And as I'm here, every night me and my partner Dickie sit out on the back porch. Since we've been here, we're just like, we did it. And we just celebrate ourselves, and we're just like, the density is not here anymore. Like, we desired this. Like, this came very much celestially, this sense of like, it's time for us to move, it's time for us to go. And we took that celestial compass within ourselves and just began to act on it. And now we're here. And so I've never felt this this direct and clear in regards to energy used to feel this way and now it feels this way. That's what I would say. And I just am proud of myself, to be honest. Like, I'm proud of me and Dickie for doing something that that we just felt needed to happen, and that we made it happen. A lot had to happen, and we did it. Yes. With 4 kids, so.
Yeah. A question that's coming through for me. I'm also a 12th house person like you. I think of myself as having a lot of hermit like you. I think of myself as safe in the liminal as you do. And also, I have children. I'm a mother. I've got to get them where they need to go and make sure that we have material things set up. We show up on time. And I can live in this body here, right? And so I'm wondering how, like what you've been learning. It's such a physical, material thing to move, even as it's very psychological, spiritual, emotional. Where do you feel alive right now in learning how to balance both and all of these aspects of yourself?
Mm-hmm. What comes to mind is quite a few years ago, a friend of mine Jonathan Quist is an amazing artist. He wanted to paint the portraits of people whose sort of vocation or life was invisible. And he reached out to me and I posed for it, and it looks just like me. It's a very remarkable painting, but he, through paintings, emphasized the unseen. And so behind me is a mandorla. It's, a vulva, the womb, cosmic, there's plants. But I felt very, it was necessary that my youngest, Micah, at the time, he had this little wooden truck. And I was like, I need this wooden truck present in this picture. And it's what my foot was on. So I'm crossing my legs and embroidering this quilt, and my foot is on this truck. And I feel like being a mother and having my kids really has rooted me and grounded me in my physical body, in earth. And so a lot of this move feels like these lessons that I've learned, integrating them and being able to not feel this division of my life. Not feeling like when I spend time by myself, needing to read, needing to do ritual, needing to do ceremony, I've loosened up significantly. My youngest will come in and there's not this tightness, that comes in of just like, this is my space, I need to do this. But instead this flow, this sense of like, this is Enoch, this is my child, he's here, I'll talk to him, invite him in, and then he leaves. And so through this move, what I feel is just a deeper seamlessness between all of the roles and identities that I have to play, and really loving that about myself. And one of the funniest things that I do appreciate is I will do deep oracular work where I'm merged with the void and merged with the womb and giving oracular utterance. I will close that and then I go take my kid to a soccer game, and those worlds don't feel different. I'm able to weave and to be in them in a way that just feels delightful. And I'm feeling the fruit of that groundwork here in this move of not feeling a lot of separation and more of, I'm a mom and I'm also doing this work, and I'm also like hyper fixated on paint colors and like all the things. So yeah, it just feels good. I don't feel separated unto myself. And motherhood has really anchored me on earth, and I'm so grateful. And it is not easy. It's really hard and challenging. But I've softened in compassion around myself, around those challenging bits. And I'm just like, this is here. This is my learning crew. Like, we're doing it.
It can be disorienting as a younger person when maybe you're not guided to, or you don't have language for great mystery, the liminal, these spaces that you now are comfortable inside. Like when you think about your younger self, I'm curious how you found your way to finding language and skill set, teachers for entering the liminal and being comfortable in these spaces that now are like home for you. Since these things aren't taught necessarily in school, I'm wondering how you found your way to your spaces.
I love that question. Yeah, I think astrologically speaking, then I'm going to go back to my childhood and we'll see what comes out, is having Mercury in my 12th house really allows me to dive so deep and then be able to surface with words. That I'm good at communicating these spaces and places that sometimes feel like dolphin speak or whale language or like octopus, like these deep ocean beings and or these high celestial realms, just interfacing with them and then being able to come back and translate them into English feels so natural and feels so fluent for me. And I think part of how that has come is it just is what is natural, but there was a time when it was very painful and I tried different tongues and different languages to try and fit in. And as a child, I had a very powerful imagination life. My older sister and I created realms and worlds that we just lived in. And it was a very beautiful childhood for me in a lot of ways with my sister Noelle, just these realms we were in and created. And as of late, I've been reflecting on this one memory that I have where I was able to go pick out a winter coat. I think it was like 8 or 10. And it was like the coolest winter coat. It was so funky. It had orange polka dots, black and white, patches all around it. And I went to my Grammy B's house and she had her neighbor over there and I showed my coat off. And I can't remember what her neighbor said, but I remember what it made me feel. And I remember it making me feel not safe in my body, like something was wrong with me. And I remember going into my Grammy B's bathroom and looking in the mirror and really a piece of my soul left in that moment. And I remember looking in the mirror and just being like, if people can say this about me, then it's not safe to be in my body and I have to go. And this deep inner magical Nicole part of me left. And she's been chilling in the realms, you know, like I've had contact with her. She's who gives me these like amazing ideas, but she has not felt safe to live inside of me as this 38-year-old Nicole. And so she's really the one who I attribute a lot of this like magical ability to connect to beings and realms to, and she'll feed it through to me. But as of late, working with passion flower, this dreaming plant who's actually sitting in my room with me right now, and she bloomed yesterday, another name Maypop. She has been reconnecting me with this magical part of myself. And basically, I've been wooing this part of me back, and this part of me has said, like, in order for me to fully embody and live within you again, you need to clear these old stories that you've had about the playfulness and the childlike spirit that is just so intrinsic to who I am and what connects me to great mystery and what gives me language, which I can use English language, but I also create with my hands and work with clay and bead and thread. And that's often how I speak and transmit these messages and infuse them with spirit. And so this little Nicole is so powerful and so magical, and she's been returning to me. And as she returns, there's a homecoming on so many levels and a deep welcoming. And I don't even know if I'm answering your question, but I'm just going to keep flowing with this because it's what's present.
Yes.
Okay. But like the thing that I'm doing to honor this part of myself, to welcome this part of myself back that has not felt at home in different environments, in different Christian environments or thought environments where people are very stringent on this is the way, this is how you need to think, this is what reality is. I just don't roll that way. That's been very harmful to me. And so this inner Nicole, this like magical part of myself that just knows the interconnection of all, as she's returning to me, it's allowing me to have this childlike playful energy with reality where I don't know, and it feels safe to not know, and it feels fun to not know, and it feels amazing to be curious and to enter the world with wonder and to enter conversations like today. Or we just moved into this house and there's a great ancient elder maple tree and 2 pines, and just to be able to say, hi, I'm Nicole, like, nice to meet you, like, here's my moon blood, here's my spit, here's my hair, this is my story, I want to get to know you. And I'm not bringing projection onto these beings, I'm bringing curiosity and wonder and childlike play. And that for me is what allows me to enter these realms and to be welcomed by the spirits, the deities, and the beings, is my trickster childlike energy. And so I don't know if I've reflected fully to be able to say this is how necessarily, or the progression, because it has just often felt natural, but I have felt a significant shift welcoming this childlike part back, where my nervous system feels regulated. I don't have to have answers. I can say I don't know. I can enter relationships with genuine curiosity, and it feels so good. And the last thing I'll say about this part of myself is I am making myself a coat to reclaim that experience. And the coat is going to be hexagons, because I work with the bees. So the hex, and in each hex is going to be an embroidered image of a being, a deity, an ancestral connection, a plant whom I work with. And it's going to be this coat of many colors, so to speak, to reclaim that part of myself and to embody and bring it into the physical, saying it is okay for me to live a life of divine wonder and curiosity and unknowing and surrender to great mystery, which to me means not knowing and being along for the ride and surrendering. So that's how I answer that question.
I feel like you're lighting up so many things in me that I want to go try, because I could feel that invitation to my own sort of astral self, young self, like nudging me, like, do you hear that?
You spoke about the great mystery, Nicole, and you also spoke about the liminal. I'd love to hear you speak more about what it means to be devoted to the great mystery and the liminal.
Yes. I think, tagging off of what I was saying, like for me, what I've been experiencing, because for a while I don't know if I would have been able to name this is who and what I feel devoted to, great mystery. But as of now, that feels so resonant and so true to me, because what I associate with that is mystery is unknowable. And yet there is such a fascination, a hunger that I have to know, that to be in relationship and devoted to great mystery really humbles me and keeps me in a state of surrender. And that leads me into the state of childlike wonder. And so it's the one archetypal energy that makes me feel happy to be alive, even amidst all the pain and the challenge and the difficulty of what it can mean to be a human at this exact time and space and place. It keeps me supple and it keeps me soft and keeps me open to possibility, which brings me a lot of joy, because I can feel the weight and the depth and the hardness of existence on this planet. And when I can feel that and come to great mystery, anything feels possible with this particular energy. And so it honors that I'm feeling this, and also whispers the sense of both and, like, you can feel this, Nicole, we honor this in you, and also imagine. And it just is what feels best to who I am as a person and how I'm navigating the world. is this ability to feel everything I need to feel, and yet there's always this possibility, this ability to dream, this ability to create. And so that's what it feels like at this moment for me to be devoted to great mystery. It feels trickstery. It feels enlivening, and it keeps me pulsating with the rhythm of life, which is cyclical, and I love that for myself. And then in regards to liminality, I just feel like a being of liminality, and I can finally claim that. But for the majority of my life, it's felt extremely painful and challenging and hard to exist on this planet that really there's a consciousness that likes to separate, right? And I bring the story I can share is growing up in high school, we'd have to like sign fill out these forms or whatever. And it would say, mark which ethnicity or race you are. It'd be like black, white, like islander, all these things. And on the bottom, it would always be other. And I'm mixed race in the binary, right? My dad is black, my mom is white. Ancestrally, there's so much in my bloodline, but that's, how the world has viewed me. And so I always would have to check other. And that fucked my psyche up a lot. I just often felt like I never fit in. I was just like, I don't know where I fit in. Like, I do identify as neurodivergent. My brain was not functioning similarly to my peers, though they loved me for the fluidness of my brain and communication style. I often felt like I'm not getting something here. Like, these people are talking about this stuff and I'm finding myself extremely bored, and I want to like follow the wind on my face and let the peach juice drip from my chin and just be in this moment. And I just, it goes back to that three of swords stuff. I'd stab myself and be like, you're wrong, you're bad. Like, you have to try and fit in. And again, like through astrology and through deep healing and nervous system healing and so many different modalities, and following this thread of great mystery, I have finally found myself to be able to taste the honey in what has felt like poison and really claim it for myself, not other as bad or wrong, but as someone who lives in the liminal, as someone who I can't fully identify as any one of my identities, because they all live and I feel them as the braid inside of me. I don't feel them as a distinctness. I have distinct relationships with my ancestral bloodlines, but I can't separate that with how they flow within me. They're not separated in my blood. And so it's been a long journey, and it will be one continually that I walk, but to have found the liminal, to have found this place where I don't have to separate myself, I don't have to give name to this is who I am and I fit in this way, but instead I can be all of this and I can find my own rhythm and my own way to dance, has just felt it's a definite homecoming for me to be able to let all myselves be at play, and to allow certain ones at times to lead the way because they're more skilled in this particular setting or situation, but to welcome them all in. And I would even say I had an experience in charting your course that was very powerfully healing for me, and it's when I met Lilith archetypically, but I met her and we were in Chiron's cave. And I had been meeting with her for a while. She came when I was doing a journey once, and I was picked up by these like talons, this owl talons, and brought into a whole different scene. And like the meditation this person was leading us on, Lilith was like, this one ain't for you, girl. Like, we're going here. And she brought me to this cave, and there was like this talon-footed trickstery energy, sort of like Anubis sitting on like the water's edge and playing a game of chess, sort of sitting back, leaning with like his legs crossed, sort of like, your move's next, And I sat down and I was like, then I came out of the journey. And I was like, that was very interesting. And so I did a little research and then found this picture that could be Lilith or Ananya, and it's this owl being who had those exact talon feet. And I was like, this is Lilith. And ever since then, during charting your course, I would be brought to Lilith's cave, and it was also Chiron was there, and all these fragmented part of myself were in the cave, and Lilith was tending to them, right? These demonized parts of myself, society, the parts that didn't fit in society that I had demonized were all there, and she was mothering them. And Lilith is called the mother of demons. For me, she was just like showing me that, yes, in a certain mindset that could be scary, but actually she's mothering the parts of us that we've had to push aside because society tells us to be a certain way. The mother of demons, she's the mother of these parts of me that are so powerful and beautiful and potent. It's making me cry because she's been loving those parts for me, and she introduced them to me. It's my mixed race self. It's my neurodivergent self. It's my gender non-conforming self. They were all there. And I would visit that cave often. And there was like a little baby Nicole, and she was nursing me. And then I checked back later, and then I was crawling, and Lilith was teaching me how to respect the fire. And then I went back one time, and this is all through journey and meditation and from dreaming. And I went back one time, and it was sort of like this culmination, and she had set out a table, and there was food, you know, and I've been raised in like a Christian household. And so what came to me is like, you know, this passage that talks about setting a table out in the presence of your enemies, right? My mind had demonized and made these parts of me enemies, and Lilith was like, no, these are not enemies. We're setting a table out before, and you will have a meal, and you will feast with these parts of yourself. And by the end of that time eating with these parts of myself, I was able to see the beauty in each one and accept these parts of myself. And by the end of that meal, they had integrated back into me. And it was just a very powerful experience, and that has lived with me. And Lilith helps me live in that liminal because she lets me be who I am, and I don't have to fragment. I don't have to create more shadow parts. I can actually exist in my fullness, and it is such a gift. So yeah, that's what comes out with that question.
Thank you, Lilith. What a beautiful experience. Yeah, I'm feeling the desire to have you talk a little more about Trickster energy. You've called yourself a Trickster Priestess. I love this. How has Trickster supported you in the shape shifting, in the portal jumping, and in the calling these parts of self back home?
Yes. I love the Trickster energy. Wow. When I first met the Trickster energy through actually Mercury again in charting your course and like hearing the lesson on Mercury, I was like, OMG. Yes. Like, okay, I know this energy. I love this energy. And the thing that's coming up to answer this is I had a hypnosis session with Megan from Healing Wave Hypnosis, I believe. And she worked with me on, I wanted to do like a journey and a hypnosis with Persephone. And she was like, I'm feeling Vesta. And she talked a bit about the Vestal Virgins a bit more. And I was like, oh, I'm going to trust your lead. Let's do this. And so she led me on this hypnosis, this journey with Vesta, the Vestal Virgins, which I can identify very much with being a Virgo sun in the 12th house, this devotee energy. And in this experience, it was like my time, my turn to tend to the flame for the month that I would do it. in some sort of past life, parallel universe, whatever, however you want to view it, something that I'm connected to in a lifetime. It was my time to tend to this flame, this devoted to divinity. And I get to the flame and I just feel itchy inside. I feel annoyed inside. I'm just like, I do not want to do this. I don't want to spend a month not being able to like do what I want to do. And it was very interesting to feel that this sense of like devotion to divinity by sort of being separate or set apart was not vibing with me, and it never has. And at that point in this journey, I began to call in some of the beings I work with. I like whistled, and my Candomblé friends, who are the little people connected to my ancestry, West African ancestry, they came, and I started like throwing fire pieces to them, and they were just laughing, and we were having the best time. And they just took these fire pieces and ran with them and started like throwing them into the mountain, into the flowers, into the trees. And it was just this party where we were just like, let's fuck the system. There's not this hierarchy of divinity only in the flame. It's in everything. It's in everyone. It is everywhere. And that's when I sort of felt this energy of the Trickster Priestess, is this, yes, I'm devoted to divine, to great mystery, to beauty, to this way of being, to receiving information and revelation. But I don't want to be set apart in that way. And how I do it is through trickery and sort of through messing in a healthy, fun, conscious, expanding way with people's ideas of spirituality. And it just felt so powerful to feel that, and to be able to, you know, give oracle, and then afterwards, like, come home and watch an episode of The Bachelorette, you know, which is what I do. And to, like, you know, just to mix it up and to, you know, give oracle or maybe an oracle reading, and then maybe I'll smoke a cigarette or have a shot of Fireball, or I'll wear the white dress for the ritual and the ceremony, but you better believe I'm going to wear my platform Crocs. Like, just mixing it up brings me deep delight. And it's that trickster energy that I love to mess with in a healthy, expansive way. The rigidity around priestess or spirituality or these types of things. I've never wanted to be set apart. I've always wanted to be welcomed for who I am, and for this connection that I, yes, do have to beings and to realms, and can receive messages from them. But we all can in our own way, and that this is who I am, and I just want to be accepted for that, and to be able to shoot the shit and hang out and be able to traverse those realms. And so that's where that was birthed and born, was through that hypnosis, where I'm like, oh yes, I got a trickster energy. I don't want to be solidified into any one thing, and I love being in service, but I see the divinity and the beauty and everyone and everything I'm in contact with, and that's how I want to live my life.
I love this, Nicole, so much. I feel like there's something you mentioned too about Mercury and Virgo that I've been reflecting on a lot, because I think in pop astrology we can think of Virgo as this sterile thing, but I think that is a modern invention, right? And rather maybe thinking of Virgo as that which is the energy that's so connected to truth, and that cuts away at the bullshit that's not truth, right? Even thinking about mysticism or thinking about connecting to mythology, something you were bringing up here is about how truth comes out of our personal devotion and relationship to the mythology, right? Like this experience you're describing of not wanting to see Vesta the way that Vesta is seen through the patriarchy, right? And rather letting Vesta really speak to you through like the truth of Vesta, you know? I love that. So something I'm curious about with you, Nicole, is how, after learning astrology, right, how do you feel that astrology connects you back to your ancestors?
This is, yes. As I've mentioned, I'm mixed race and have many bloodlines from my dad, who is Black. There's Creole and West African and Cherokee, and on my mom, there's Polish and different European bloodlines that I'm getting to know. And one thing that has always felt very important to me is finding systems, finding things, whether it's my handwork or different ways of being in the world that honor each one of my bloodlines in their own way, but that there's overlap. And so the work I do with my hands, with embroidery, with clay, all my bloodlines have done that. And so they come together and I'm able to create these physical objects that honor my ancestry, yet is bringing them together in this unified fashion that holds an energy of potency. And so astrology has been fascinating because as I've connected with each one of my ancestral lines, they each have a different connection to the stars. And I learned that my grandpa, who the money came through that I was able to take charting your course, that lineage is extremely esoteric and very much connected to sort of like Merlin, star, like magi, alchemical energy. And as I've been learning the stars, they've been coming and being more present. And through charting your course, I connected to different bloodlines and their connection. And I remember specifically when I was working with, I have Sagittarius in the 3rd house, and during Sagittarius season, I remember dancing, specifically calling in Sagittarius. And I then experienced Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman come through, and they infused, like through my dad, through this Black lineage, through this lineage of liberation, this whole new relationship that I've been developing with the stars and with the planets as maps to freedom, as modes to be interconnected in the dream time, as Harriet Tubman was, to receive information, to bring liberation, to bring freedom. And so that's been very powerful and something I'm very interested and curious about continuing to explore. And then also through my lineage is this deep connection to jazz, and how I definitely feel like jazz is connected to the spheres and to the realms, and Sun Ra and Alice Coltrane are very cosmic to me, and I feel them coming through my bloodlines. And then through my mother, there's this bloodline of the Magdalene and of the Melissae, in which I walk those paths as well as a bee priestess. And for a while, before charting your course and in charting your course, I would have these experiences where I would connect to the planets, and there would be very powerful sort of sensual, erotic experiences I would have with them, sort of taking them into my body, and they would move me and I would feel them, and they were very sensuous in nature. And as I've learned and deepened more in the way of the Melissae through the Lyceum where I've studied, there is a part of being a Melissae in which you do work with, make love to, bring into your body the planets to bring forth healing, to bring forth nectar for the healing of the world. And I experience astrology as honoring all of these lineages that I've been studying and didn't know that the stars wove through all of them. So for me, astrology is really something I'm beginning to truly honor and see how deep it is, how powerful, how potent, and how it is one of the living systems that connects me to all my ancestors and brings them together in a way of beauty, honoring, and potency.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. I love this idea of like bringing the planets into the body and experiencing it in that way. Yeah. It's interesting because something that Britten and I talk a lot about is being two, pretty airy people, or people who who like to study, like geeks and nerds, there's a way in which astrology provides a portal, because I think it's one of the mystery schools that makes space for that, but it's so beautiful to also hear this other way of approaching it, which is so much in the body.
Yes. Yeah. I've loved experiencing that because I too can be quite heady, but as I've been working and healing like my nervous system, realizing how important dance is to me, and as I've danced, especially in that container of charting your course, and afterwards, as I dance, different planets will come, and I'm just like, oh, cool, let's learn this way, and it's felt really helpful to like root it in my body, and I forget exactly what's the under thing for astrology as praxis, but something about celestial body, but that's what I like that line.
Remembering our participation in the cosmic body.
Exactly, yes. So good.
Yes. So would you like to talk about astrology as praxis? We're so excited to have you with us.
Yes. I feel excited and honored to be a part of that. And yes, you want me to just muse on it, or?
Well, yeah, I'm wondering what might come through when you think about supporting the space, and like what your dreams would be for the space, like what you're hoping for, calling in for the whole experience.
I think a few words that come to mind would be like wonderment, curiosity, and I also like have a visual, which is like a tree root going so deep into the earth that it becomes celestial and cosmic, and these tree roots are sucking up the stars, the celestial way of being. So this ability to be rooted on earth, yet imbibing so deeply from the celestial realm, from the planets. And what I feel excited about is just a diversity of people, of experiences, of the way that we experience the planets. And that's what felt so exciting about joining on as a facilitator in TA, was that I don't have to present as sort of maybe how people would think an astrologer is, but that I can bring music into it. I could bring a planetary dance party into it, that you, Jonathan, you basically allow us to find our way and find our connection to the planets and the stars. And that is just what is so exciting to me. So yeah, it's a sensation also in my body of just sort of like a party, like a dance party, and a place for us just to play and to learn and to grow and explore. And yeah, visually, I just see right now my body looks like it's like blue and there's stars, and we're able to dance and be ourselves and just, I don't know, connect.
Yeah, maybe we should add another subtitle to the class: a year-long celestial dance party.
Yes. Yes. Because I haven't even thought about this, but it just came to me now, is like we have our, like I visually am seeing us all in that sort of mode of a dance party. We all have the planets, they're in different parts of us, and collectively we create some very fascinating chart that's beyond maybe just like a birth chart or something. We are planetary bodies, we are human bodies, and we're in this together, and we're moving and we're dancing. And it's so interesting that it's like my Saturn is in relationship with all of your all Saturns, and it's going to bring different messages and information, and it just allows it to become something so full and not static, something alive and shifting and powerful, that excites me very much so, to think of it in that way too.
Thank you for calling in that imagery. I am loving it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely a year-long dance party.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, your presence will be a gift to all of us.
Thank you so much.
Like all of what you share is just this really deeply embodied wisdom, and I love how you go there. You know, I think so much of what I personally find challenging about learning astrology is when you don't let yourself go there. You know, I was telling Britten this the other day, that transits are really challenging for me. And then I kind of sat with that for a while and thought about why is transit so challenging for me. And I think part of it is because transits are kind of like waves, you know, and they carry you over, right? And if you are in that space trying to like gasp for air, you know, and like worrying that you're going to drown, then you can't float. You know, and I think so much of what astrology as praxis, at least on a vision level, on a container level, is our attempts at healing that younger part of us that didn't let ourselves go there.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Yes. I feel that. And I also feel like a little nervous now. I'm just like, I did let myself go. And that's okay. I'll sit with that part, and that's okay. You know, everything I said was very true. And yeah, compassion, calling in Kuan Yin.
Totally.
I love it. I just love writing your words and going to the places that you take people when you share yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
It's both pleasurable and healing for me.
Thank
and
you.
Fun.
Yes. Thank you. I receive that.
Totally.
Yeah. Thank you too so much. Everything that I do say, I truly mean, and it is really not an exaggeration that I truly don't know where I would be without the two of you and the containers that you have held for me. And I don't get it. I don't have to get it, but it is what is just true for me, that if I hadn't experienced charting your course and Magician Stable, I would still be trapped in a deep cycle of fear, anxiety, really questioning that, just so scared, just so much density around I don't belong, or I can't share, or people won't understand me. And so easily and quickly those energies were able to transmute in the containers that you have held, because I just realized it's the exact opposite. The very thing that which is what you guys are talking about in your collaboration stuff too. You know, it's like the things that I'm so scared of are actually the things that are the gift to me and to others. And I just thank the universe for both of you so much for what you're doing, because I'm out of my cave and I return, but not in fear anymore.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank
it
you,
has
Nicole.
it has been insane having you in our containers. It just feels so like you are this being of cosmic intelligence. So I guess I'm curious to hear if there's any what's been cooking in the Nicole kitchen, any way that people can work with you, where can people find you, what are you excited about in this moment in your life to share with people?
Yes. Most excited about getting my house in order, getting boxes on box, painting walls, creating what will be my little mystic cave, a little shed in the back of the house. People could email me if they're interested in offerings, but I'm going to probably take a month or so just to like settle and root in here. But my partner, Dickie, and I are collaborating and are working on a website and a container of healing where he will be offering ancestral healing sessions and I will be offering my oracular work, which, yes, I probably from the website, people could hear more of what that is. And then also I'll be working with the moon and the cycles to create different clay objects, different embroidered talismans, different altar cloths, whatever I feel interested in making with my hands will also be being offered soon. And one offering I'm very excited about that I'm going to start soon is growing up as a child. I loved making friendship bracelets so much, like through embroidery or through beads. I would just make them for people and I would be internally, I'm just like, this person feels like they're a pink, blue with a green. And I would just make them and just give them to them and bless them. And one of the offerings I'm going to start soon are friendship bracelets with the spirit, where people could, if they want a friendship bracelet, I will then do work behind the veil to receive what benevolent being or energy wants to come through to help me make this friendship bracelet. And the person will then get the bracelet and then a small, short oracular utterance from the being that stepped forward. So that feels very exciting and alive for me. So people can look for that, and I'll probably share that on my Instagram at some point, but that's the most alive at the moment, is bringing this inner child Nicole, working with the spirits to bless people, to remind us we have so many beings who love us and who are here for us. But yeah, look for those things eventually sometime in the fall. And my partner and I's business is called The Lion and the Lute. And that also came through from an oracular utterance from one of my sisters in the way of the Melissai. So yes, nothing fully definite, many things in the work that will soon be solidified.
So exciting.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you too.
That's it for my conversation with Nicole. I hope that you enjoyed this conversation. And if you are really feeling the vibe between Nicole, Britten, and me, I would highly recommend you to check out our course page, Astrology as Praxis. It is going to be such a deep, rich experience, as you can probably tell from this episode. And yeah, we would love to have you if it resonates. Registration will be open by this weekend, which is August 26th to 28th, and we will begin our journey on September 10th. All right, so if this podcast has been inspiring you, if it's been delightful to you, if you've received some medicine from it, I would love to receive rating or even preferably a review if you feel called. And yeah, it will mean so much to me to receive a review from you. Until next time, I hope you take good care of yourself, and I'm sending you so much love. Thank you for listening.